Well, I have encountered lots of long lost shows from long ago that aired on PBS. Of course, shows like Zoom and what have you. But there was this one show I had seen mentioned several times, but I never actually could encounter this until I actually did some research and found it here on YouTube. Well, now, there have been numerous nature series to come, but this was long before PBS even got Wild America or Nature for the big guys and, well, young adults and what have you. But before we even got Kratts Creatures or even Zaboomafoo or Wild Kratts or even Nature Cat, we had this show. So, in this episode, do you remember? I'm going to talk about the show Hodgepodge Lodge. Big D's Entertainment Rankings Reviews presents Do You Remember? So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle Bear, known to you as the Big D, and I'm here with another episode of Do You Remember? Today, I'm going to be talking about, well, a long lost kid show from long ago, back in the 70s, long before I was even born. Excuse me, everyone. Now, I know we've had numerous shows about nature and what have you. Well, most notably, we did have some on at the time, like Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. But anyway, in 1970, PBS actually got this little number of a show right here. And let me tell you, this is a long lost gem of a show that would really teach your youngsters about nature and all sorts of neat things around out in the forest and what have you. Well then, get ready because we're off to the forest to see Miss Jean. And you're thinking, who's Miss Jean? Well, I'll tell you about her. Excuse me, a little sidetracked here. Well, I'll tell you all about her as I talk about this little number of a show right here. And now I ask you, do you remember the TV show known as Hodgepodge Lodge? Hodgepodge Lodge was a nature series for kids. It originally premiered on numerous PBS stations on the East Coast and also in syndication in some markets. It premiered in 1970. It was hosted by a woman they called Miss Jean. Of course, her name's Jean Worthley. The show was originally produced by the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting. That's Maryland Public Television to us now. Well, for many years now. Now, each episode of Hodgepodge Lodge is a half hour long. The show's host was Miss Jean Worthley, who was also the producer of the show since she was working for the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting at the time. Now, of course, Miss Jean was the quiet woman who, well, lives around Hodgepodge Lodge. Now, the show introduces elementary school children to wild animals and other nature topics, for example, trees, in a calm setting around the namesake lodge. Now, the show was actually what had some episodes filmed outside of the lodge, while the inside of the lodge, well, to make it look big and what have you, was done, of course, in the studios of the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting. Now, as I've said, this series was aired on PBS stations on the what was I thinking, East Coast, and also syndicated in the early to mid 70s. The show ran for an overall total of 7 seasons. Now, Miss Jean introduced the wonders of nature to national audiences, which included inner city children, many of whom had never seen a garden or an animal in a setting other than a zoo. Now, Miss Jean did everything from opening a pine cone and exploring its depths, which might have led to the discovery of a beetle or worm, to examining the habitat of a hedgehog or a red fox. Yeah, and sometimes there have been numerous others. They also had now every episode of Hodgepodge Lodge featured two young people who are dubbed Miss Jean's friends. Also, along for this, in some episodes, we have Miss Jean's feathered friend of a parrot, Aurora. And now also we had there was also special guests to show numerous things around nature, and even some that had pets and what have you. Some that were actually wild animals, but they were just young and what have you. It was one person who brought youngster that had like these exotic creepy crawly animals. That was one of the earlier episodes. A raccoon was featured in one episode, and even some woman had like this here wildcat thing called an ocelot. Yes, you heard me correctly. Yeah. Now, I actually got to see these episodes a few months ago. Now, unfortunately, most episodes of the series have been lost because the master tapes were erased to save money by allowing the tapes to be reused. Of the over 760 original episodes that were produced and aired, only about 30 remain. Now, of course, Maryland Public Television actually offers some of the surviving episodes on DVD. Unfortunately, that's I've checked their site and that's pretty much worth an arm and a leg. Only about I did check there are episodes available on the American Archive of Public Broadcasting website as well. There's only about I think 4 or 5 episodes, but however there are about I counted 26 of the 30 episodes are currently available on YouTube to watch. That's where I found it, and I must say this is a nice little show. I think your kids will definitely enjoy this. You'll get introduced to all sorts of numerous animals and all sorts of things. Anyway, from what I've seen of this show, I do like Miss Jean. She was was a nice person from what I've seen. Now, of course, Miss Jean was a very a pretty big naturalist. Of course, she also co-hosted the series On Nature's Trail, and she also wrote the book The Complete Family Nature Guide, which was published during the last year of Hodgepodge Lodge's running. And she has, well, explored various parts of the world. I can't remember where she actually found Aurora, though. But anyway, now, unfortunately, I said was a nice person. She passed away in her sleep in April of 2017, but she did live a good long life in 90, which at the age of 92. This February would mark her would have been 100th birthday, as a matter of fact. Now, let me go ahead and give you some screenshots from Hodgepodge Lodge episodes. Here's a shot of Miss Jean right there, you can see, along with 2 other kids and one special guest of a kid who brought in all sorts of dogs, basset hounds to be exact. And yes, you can find the full episode of this on YouTube. This is among one of them. Also, I'm kind of giving you these shots from the actual shots their pics on YouTube. So I humbly apologize if I use these. So please bear with me. Here's a shot of Miss Jean along with some other kids. This is from one of the episodes he did outdoors, and this is from the episode Planting a Garden. Here's a shot of Miss Jean and a couple of young friends, and if you can't tell, there's her feather friend Aurora on her shoulder, and a couple of older kids as these other 2 kids right here are part of the 4-H group. Now here's a shot of Miss Jean and this young fellow who brought in these creepy crawlies of exotic animals, different snakes, spiders, and what have you. And this is what they do on the inside of the lodge, which I mentioned already, is shot in the studio of the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting. And that's what they do when they go to the discovery table. Yes, I almost forgot to mention when they're doing something really going to check out something really big in Miami, they go to this little thing called the Discovery Table, which I think that's really something. Anyway, I really think that this is such an incredible show. If you've never seen this series, I would highly recommend your kids check this out. I mean, if your kids have already seen maybe some of the Crab Brothers shows, like Kratts Creatures or Zaboomafoo or even the animated series Wild Kratts or even which of course the latter two would be the first two would be later productions for Maryland Public Television. I'll talk about one of those shows. Well, maybe Kratts Creatures later on down the road, which of course I really like that show. I think you'll really, I think you'll really like this. I mean, same if you like the Nature Cat, which is another animated show PBS airs on their PBS Kids block, and well, this would be just like watching any other show. You'll even get to see nature crafts and what have you. At the end of each episode's credits, they show a little message saying, "Have fun with nature." And I think this would be and again, as I've said, I think this is a nice little show. I think your kids will really enjoy it. Now, as I've said, you can find full episodes on YouTube, and you should have no trouble. Just look up Hodgepodge Lodge TV series. There is a Hodgepodge Lodge YouTube channel. That's where you'll find the 26 episodes I had mentioned that you could find. Okay. So that's your best chance. You can also find episodes on the American Archive of Public Broadcasting. Like I said, I think there were only 4 or 5 episodes. I could be wrong, but yeah, you can find some on there. So that's gonna do it. Did you ever see Hodgepodge Lodge when you were young? If so, let me know in the comments section below. And if you like this video, consider clicking the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to support my channel, make it grow, and make the views grow. Okay? And tell all your friends about my channel, and well, maybe they'd like to be a part of my Big D Nation, or they can or share my vids with your friends if you wish. And we'll have another episode. Do you remember coming up in a couple of days with Out of Control? And next time I'll be bringing, and I'll have another review coming up real soon. I'm not gonna tell you what the next review is. Well, if anybody's interested. So if you liked this, you may want to check out some of these other PBS kids shows I've actually tackled. In the upper left-hand corner is one of the very earliest PBS kids type shows, and that's Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which, as a matter of fact, that's currently showing on the new PBS Retro Fast channel. Kratts Creatures is on there as well. In the upper right-hand corner is um, another show that actually focuses on little something with crafts and what have you. Maybe not nature crafts. Well, maybe at times they have the original Zoom. Or you can go to the bottom left hand corner and see a show that PBS aired that involved science, but also involved creatures and what have you. And that's 321 Contact. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., as well as Do You Remember? Then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying see ya.